Hey guys, this is Dr. Omi with Essentially Omi. Today I'm going to be showing you how I line my rectangular soap molds. But before we get started, please like and subscribe. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at essentiallyomi. Thank you. All right, so I'm starting off with this small rectangular mold that I use to test out fragrances and things that I don't want to sort of invest a large amount of soap batter in before I know how they're going to behave. And I'm just taking some freezer paper. You kind of estimate about how much it's going to go down into the mold, come up the sides, and leave you with enough to tape over on the sides. So you just kind of measure that out, flatten it across the top, and then you want to sort of feel for the inside crease and make an indentation on the paper so that you can use that as a guide to fold by. And you can see I'm just on each, all four sides, I'm just feeling where that inside edge of the box is, and I run my fingernail across it. Then you have sort of a guideline to work with. I flipped it over and wrote back on there so that you can tell the difference from the front and the back. Okay, so then you're gonna flip it back over, shiny side up, and just fold along the creases that you've already created a guideline for. And you just fold one on each side there. It looks a lot more complicated than it is, sort of like origami, but once you get it, you can't unget it. You'll be like, oh wow, this is so simple. And it's a lot easier than, having to wash out a silicone mold each time. I don't really care for silicone molds. All right, so on the long edges, well, short edges, anyway, I'm trying to line up the creases that were left by the other folds to kind of make sure I have a perfect rectangle. Flip it back over, and this part is optional, but it does make it easier for you. What you're gonna end up doing is reversing the folds on the edges, the end, the first and the third sections, if that makes sense, leaving the center section folded the way you folded it. So I'm gonna show it to you again. You've got the back side facing up. You turn over that piece you've already folded. You go to the right and the left, the far right and far left sections. And you're gonna basically find where you already creased the paper, and you're gonna crease it, kind of as you see me doing. This is so hard to explain. All right, so now what you have are inverted folds on the far right and far left sections and a regular fold on the center section. This is why it's important. So when you flip it back over, shiny side up, these are your end creases that you're making now on the ends. You're going to, you see where my finger is there? I'm gonna try to bring that section to the fold that I already created. And because I reversed that fold, the paper is a lot more pliable. And so you make sort of like a triangle there. I always trim the excess paper that I'm not gonna need. And you see I'm pointing to the fold that I'm trying to bring the folded edge closest to me to that center folded area. And you just crease it and you trim the excess. Now you can tape it here if you want, but especially when you're working with a smaller mold, it's sometimes easier to just get all your folds in first and then you can go back and tape. With a longer mold, you can just tape as you go. Tape both end caps or end pieces as you go. So I'm gonna show it to you again here. I'm folding in the crease I already had. These are the end pieces. These are the short edges of your mold. That's where the fold is going. I'm gonna bring the horizontal fold to the vertical fold. And you trim your excess paper, and where my finger is there it is, where I'm sort of wiggling, shaking my hand. I'm trying to bring that fold to the creased fold that I reversed when I flipped the paper over. This is probably so freaking confusing. Okay, so you're folding there, trimming. All right, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like completely unfolded. So once you've completely unfolded the whole thing, you'll see like a kaleidoscope of lines and folds. Do not be dismayed. This is shiny side up here. And now I'm going to show you how I tape them. So I'm just going back over the folds I've already made. That's on the end cap. You can see like that sort of milk carton fold there. That's going to be one end. All right, so I've taped that in place. Now, here's the tricky part. When you have a shorter mold, you're going to end up folding over some of the paper that you've already folded. Do not be dismayed. That's also why you trim the paper. I'm literally going over my folds, but the far end of the paper is already folded down. So I'm actually going to be folding into like 2 or 3 layers of paper. It's not difficult to do, and it does work itself out in the end. You just have a few extra folds. This is what it looks like a piece of origami, right? But then when you open it up, you'll see that you have a rectangular mold that should be identical to the interior dimensions of your soap mold. You have a rectangular paper form of the mold. All right, so now I'm gonna show you what happens. You're almost done. You just stick it in your mold, you trim it, and you tape it. Okay, whoa, almost lost it there. So once you put it in, now you can see that's shiny side up, guys. And if you mess up, I mean, you know, paper's forgiving. You can just undo it and try it again until you get it right. You trim on each corner just to separate the paper layers so that you'll be able to fold down. And this is where your stored paper strip, your tape strips come in handy. Because, you know, you can just go. And if you've got like 2 or 3 batches to make at a time, it's so much easier if you can just boom, 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 just line all your molds. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I like these, I use Reynolds freezer paper, and I really like the freezer paper because, I mean, it's easy to work with, it tapes down well, and sometimes I reuse them, you know, especially when I have a lot of batches to do. Like if I'm normally making 2 or 3 batches today, 2 or 3 batches tomorrow, I'll reuse these once. I don't reuse them more than once because at a certain point the oils start to kind of seep through. But yeah, you can wipe them off, clean them off, and there you go.